Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. It has been a little bit since I have made a video, so I thought I'd give you guys a life update, a homeschool update, and also tell you about the videos that I have planned coming up for the rest of the year. So, this might get a little long, so let's get right into it. Hey friends, welcome back. Like I said, it's been a while since I'd made a video, and that really was not intentional. I actually filmed 2 videos that I deleted during the editing process just because I was not invested at the time. I was not there in the video. As far as the life update goes, the past few months have been hard, emotional, and overwhelming. I'm really not going to go into any details. It's personal, it's private, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Our life has been greatly affected. Our homeschool's been affected, so I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've simplified and changed and sort of like our focus for the rest of the year. I don't want to make this a sad video though, which is one of the reasons why I'm not going to talk about what's been going on. So, some happy life updates that have been happening, okay? So first of all, 2026 will mark 12 years for my husband and I being married. 12 years? Yeah, 2014. Okay, yeah, 12 years. Yes, so 12 years of marriage. I know it's not like 10, 15, one of those like milestone anniversaries, but every year is always a year to celebrate, and 12 years for us this year. Another happy life update. Mr. 7 is now Mr. 8. He has leveled up. He's upgraded. He's now 8 years old. And as far as life updates for him, he recently just had his first confession. It was so wonderful. He loved it. He really loved it. It was very evident to everyone there that he was very excited about the whole thing. And in the spring, he'll have his first Holy Communion, which is very exciting, receiving the Eucharist for the first time. So yes, wonderful things happening for him. Miss 6, she's not 6, she is still 5. Miss 5 is doing wonderful as well. And Mr. Toddler also leveled up, but I'm going to still refer to him as Mr. Toddler probably for another year. He's doing well. And actually, this is a good segue into our homeschool update. He dropped his second nap. Yes, he did. All my kids, around the time they turn 2, drop their second nap. And we are down to 1 nap. So he gives me 1 nap in the afternoon for about 4 hours. So it's still like a significant amount of time. But yes, so he now naps in the afternoon. Just 1, which is always an adjustment when the nap schedule changes. And as a result, our homeschool also changed a few months back. He naps since he naps in the afternoon now, our homeschool is now in the afternoon. So we all have lunch. I go to lay him down, do all the things with him, and while I'm doing that, my older 2 are cleaning up, and then we get ready for school in the afternoon. So around 1-ish, somewhere around there is typically when we've been starting school, which is very different. We've always done like at least late morning. We're not morning people in general. I'm not a morning person, so we've never like started at 8 or 9 or something. We're still like eating breakfast at that time. So afternoon school. It took about a week to adjust to that, but we've been actually really enjoying it. So always something new to try, afternoon school. Yeah. So I actually could never make a video on like tips for homeschooling with babies and toddlers, because my advice is just this one thing: homeschool when they nap. That's my advice. Just remove them from the equation and homeschool when they nap. That's what we've always done, and it's worked out well. So when his nap moved, homeschool moved as well. Okay, so let's talk about some homeschool things. Since I did not make a mid-year update like I did last year, let me just run through all the things. Like I said, the past few months have been a difficult time for our family, so our homeschool has adjusted as well. I'm not the only person to ever say this. I've heard other people say this. When you're going through any sort of transitional period or hard time and your homeschool needs to adjust a little bit with that, you slim down some things and you focus on certain subjects. And I've always heard people say this, and I agree. Focus on reading, writing, and math. The other stuff is extra. Obviously, if your kids are older, you would adjust that as well. But as far as it goes with having younger kids, reading, writing, and math, hands down. And we had a few weeks, not back to back necessarily, but where I just could only handle doing reading, writing, and math for my second grader and my kindergartner. So as far as everything else goes, I did have to make some changes. We did get a little behind on a couple of things, but for the most part, I have righted that sinking ship, and we are pretty much on track for the rest of the year. So let me just go ahead and go through everything that we're doing, give you a little update. So my second grader, Mr. 8, he has been doing language arts, math, and kindergarten. Language arts, math, and handwriting, level 2, all from the Good and the Beautiful. We still continue to love that. Handwriting, right where we need to be. Language arts, we are just finishing up Unit 2, so right where we need to be on that. He is almost done with the booster cards. He has less than 10 to go, the reading booster cards that go with the language arts program. He should be done with those by mid-March, and he's very excited to be done completely. There's only 3 levels of that, A, B, and C, that go with the kindergarten, first, and second grade language arts. So he's excited. He's almost done with that. Math for him, as usual, he's very much ahead. He's almost done with that as well, and I will move him into level 3, yes, before the end of the year, before he's technically in 3rd grade. I've said this before on my channel, so if you've heard this before, I'm sorry, but in case you're new and you're wondering, like, why do you do that? Well, a lot of homeschoolers will agree with this, that, one of the great things about homeschooling is that you can work at your kids' pace. And a lot of the times we're referring to slowing things down when they need it. A great thing to do, obviously, but I also think the opposite is true. If they are doing super well, if they really understand it, to let them fly ahead on it. So for him, math is incredibly easy. He is already thinking like 3 steps ahead in some cases. And so when we get to, the next lesson, 80% of the time, 80% of the time, he will look at the lesson portion that I would help him through or teach him, and he already understands it. He will look at it and he'll say, are we doing this? Do I need to do that? And I'll just say yes, or correct him if he's like mostly there. And then he'll just do it. Very rarely do I have to like sit down and really like explain something to him. And in a lot of cases, like I said, he's thinking a few steps ahead. In this 2nd grade level, there's been a lot of fractions. They've learned, a half, a quarter, filling in, if a circle is divided, color in a quarter of that. And he can do all that. And recently, he went farther, and it's now like 1/6 and 1/8. And, color in 4/8 of this. And he's looking at this rectangle, coloring in 4/8 of it. And he's like, that's a half. They could have just said it was a half. And I'm like, yes, that's very true. And, sometimes I do sort of go ahead and explain something like, oh, you're kind of reducing the fraction. But sometimes I also know not to overwhelm. So that's one of those things where I haven't really said, yes, you're correct. I've just said, yep, that's correct. 4/8 is also half of that rectangle. And, I just kind of leave it at that. So he really gets it. He loves it. And so he's very excited that he will be moving on to level 3 here very shortly. As far as my kindergartner goes with her individual stuff, she's doing, again, all the Good and the Beautiful, level K, handwriting, language arts, and math. Handwriting, right where we need to be. She's doing great. Math, she's like her brother. She's a little bit ahead. She should be done with that probably around the same time, mid-March, she'll be done. and we will start first grade, the level 1 math for that. She's loving it, doing quite well. Language arts has been a little different. I am not sure that we're going to finish level K. I think we're going to come close. We're going to be somewhere in the 3rd unit because there's 3 units, but I'm not sure we're going to finish. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is we started the year needing to finish the kindergarten prep course. And I thought it was important that we do that. I'm glad we did that. But we did, 5 weeks in, finally start level K. That's part of it. The other part is when we did the preschool and the kindergarten prep, which precedes the level K with the Good and the Beautiful language arts, she was learning with each of those lessons. When a letter was introduced, that was the first time she was really learning it. That was not the case with my oldest. He really had a grasp of letters and their sounds and all of that when we did the preschool and kindergarten prep. So for him, that was a huge review. And then going into the level K, reading was very easy for him to pick up. He'd already really mastered everything and just was already connecting the dots before we'd even started level K. But with her, we've been learning as we go. So nothing is really a review for her. And it's not her fault. That's just the way that we ended up doing preschool, that I did preschool with her, so it's my fault. And so reading, doing the booster cards, we had to stop. If you're familiar with the Good and the Beautiful, they have those little target things where you have to be on a certain card before you can do the lesson. There were a few times we had to stop and catch up on the cards before we could go on to the lesson. Now, about halfway through the year, around the holidays, we finally kind of got into a groove. We started to understand blending the words to get, the letters, the sounds, and, reading. So we have picked up the pace with the language arts lessons, but I don't think we're going to completely be able to finish level K. And just depending on where we're at, we may just kind of take it into the summer, or we'll just have to see. But I'm not 100% sure that we'll finish level K this year for the language arts. And again, that's okay. It's working at their pace. Again, math, we're ahead. Language arts, we're behind, so to speak. So it's okay. Not a big deal, but I just want to tell you that's where we're at. And I think that I will probably make a video, a part 2 video to the reading booster card video that I made. Because I did I had to do things differently with her just because we had a different grasp going into it. So I might do a little compare and contrast, how I did things with my oldest son versus my daughter, and just kind of the levels they were at going into it and how that really made a difference on how we approached the cards and the language arts level in general. Hopefully that makes sense. A little teaser to come. I think that's one of the videos I will make because I feel like it's important to address and talk about the different things that we've done. Okay. I think that's all the individual stuff. Yes. So group subjects. This is where we suffered a bit, having to take time off, still needing to take time off at times. So our group subjects really suffered, and I had to pull back on some things, stop doing some things, which hurts my heart a little bit to say, especially one of the things that we stopped doing, and I'll explain in a second. But once we kind of came back into school and sort of buckled down because I was realizing kind of where we were at, I've mostly, like I said, righted the ship. We are no longer sinking with the group subjects. So let's start with science. We finished Fields and Flowers. The Good and the Beautiful, Little Hearts and Hands. We finished Fields and Flowers sometime in the fall. I can't remember when we finished that. And we started Bones and Stones. And I have caught us up on that. We are doing science more frequently to stay on track. But my kids really like it. And it's honestly, those Little Hearts and Hands don't take that long. And in fact, my oldest, I know for sure, is ready to move on to the 3 through 8 units, the next level science units for The Good and the Beautiful. I know he's really looking forward to that next year, and I want to give that to him. So we're set to still finish Bones and Stones and probably do half, 2/3 of Nests and Burrows. That's still kind of my goal. And again, those don't take very long, so that might be one of those things, depending on where we end at the end of the year, that I continue into the summer. I don't know. I really like to make sure we take a summer break, so I don't want to really do school during our 6-week summer break. So we'll just sort of have to see. It may be one of those things that we just finish it up in our little August time frame that we do school, and then, after our first break towards the end of August, when we come back, starting with the 3 through 8 units. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't know. We'll just have to see. But we're mostly back on track with science. Should be good to go to finish the way I have originally planned. History got a little behind. and I had to sort of pull back on the extra things that we were doing with history. So we're still doing it. Pulling back. If you watched my how I made the history units, you will note that I said that we had a buffer unit at the end of the year that I could scrap should that be needed. It's been scrapped. We're no longer going to do that last unit. We will end firmly with the end of the Civil War, and that's going to be where we end. We're not going to do anything after that. We did get behind where I wanted to be, but like I said, scrapping that and sort of taking out some of the extra things I was doing, focusing more just on the spine books that I have picked out for each unit, and maybe not doing all the supplemental books that I had planned. In some cases, I've just let my second grader read those on his own. He, in particular, really likes to read nonfiction, so it's no big deal for him to, read those things. The different picture books I got on a certain person or a certain event in history. So that's what we've been doing, and it's working out well. We still have a lot of discussion just with the spine alone. There's so much information that they're still getting, and they still ask great questions. We have good discussions, but we're not doing as many books each day reading from at this time. and it's okay. I have a kindergarten and second grader. Anything they get at this point is just great. The fact that they even know what the Revolutionary War is, excellent. They understand what the Declaration of Independence is, great. They understand, some of the founding fathers, they recognize their names, excellent. They don't need, the understanding, the deep understanding doesn't have to be there at this point, and so I'm happy with what we're doing. Okay, let's talk about some of the other things that I had been doing with our homeschool. We're still working our way through our U.S. geography state study. We're about where we need to be on that. No big deal. Each time we do that, it's a page per state. They just fill in different state facts. They color the flag. They find the state. It's really quick. It's easy, and they like doing that. So no problems there. All good. All of our Catholic things, I really had to slim down. We've been focusing a lot recently on confession, because my son just did that recently. His first confession, he loved it. But through Advent, I honestly really didn't do anything. We had our All About Advent book by, who wrote that one? Catherine Bogner. We did read through different pages of that. But I didn't do any sort of daily reading. We didn't do, any sort of daily anything. There was nothing. We had our Advent wreath, the things that we do with that, and the Advent book, and we just read Christmas stories and all that during Advent. And like I said, recently we've been talking about confession, so we've been doing that. Lent has begun, and I'm not, again, doing anything daily with that. We're going to keep it very simple. I'm going to pull out our Holy Week picture study. I think that'll be nice to do during Holy Week. And we're gonna learn about the Stations of the Cross, but that's really all we're gonna do. Nothing daily. I'm trying to really keep it simple, but I also want to talk about some things during these seasons. So that's the plan with that. Everything else has sort of, all the extra books we were doing, saint studies, that all really sort of like halted. And the other thing that I completely stopped doing, which makes me so sad to say, is that we had to stop doing the story of the Bible, the Old Testament, from Tan Books. Amazing publisher. I have so many of their books. That curriculum is so wonderful. And in fact, I have nothing bad to say about it. Zero things. My kids and I, my older two, who are doing homeschool, we had a big discussion about this curriculum. We went through each component. Nothing bad to say about anything. We loved every aspect that we're doing. The readings were great. We love the audiobook. Everything that in the activity book, the coloring pages, the questions, the map work, the mazes and crosswords and word searches and all the extra project pages. We love doing all of it. However, the reason we stopped doing it is because, without a doubt, every time, and we weren't doing it every day, it was kind of like an every other day thing. The days that we would do this curriculum would undoubtedly be the longest thing, the thing that took the longest in our homeschool day, and would tack on anywhere from an extra 30 to 45 minutes just for this one thing. And considering that our homeschool day doesn't typically go over, so we're done within an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most to get everything done. And then to add on an extra half an hour, 45 minutes, just really, it was one of those things like, it bogged down the day. I'm just going to put it like that. Again, I have nothing bad to say about that curriculum. I'm really hoping that when I'm looking ahead to next year and sort of planning things, that I'm going to bring it back, because we really loved it. It's just at this time in our life, adding an extra 30 to 45 minutes is too much. It was too much. I had to take it out. But like I said, nothing bad about it. Really enjoyed it. I don't have anything negative to say about that. So yeah, that one really hurt when I pulled that one. And like I said, my kids and I really went through, and like, there's nothing wrong with this. We love it. It's the thing that takes the longest, without a doubt. So yeah, we had to stop doing that. What is to come on this channel? What can you expect for the rest of the year? I'm unsure how often I will be able to film just emotionally. It is very hard to sit in front of the camera even now, and like talk to it. So, please bear with me as we sort of navigate the rest of the year. I do have videos planned though. I do want to continue making the history units that we've been doing. I think I'm going to turn those into shorts though. It'll be easier for me to do because I won't have to talk, and I can just, flip through them. And what I'll do is, in the description of the video, I'll make sure that I, write 2, 3, 4 sentences about each book, either what it was about or what we thought or things like that. Yeah, that's my plan, I think, for the history unit videos. I will do a review of the Little Hearts and Hands, the science units that we've been doing. I did that last year. I love doing that. We'll do a little compare and contrast again with the units that we've done this year. And I'll hopefully be able to do just an in general homeschool wrap up. That's the plan. I mentioned doing the Part 2 reading booster card update, which I do really want to do. That one I think I have a lot to say and sort of explain. The first video I made on that, I think I did a really good job showing everything and how everything connects, but I think I did a bad job, or maybe it was slightly confusing trying to explain how we used those cards with my oldest. I think that might have been confusing. I'd have to watch it back, but that part I think is confusing. So having a part 2 sort of explaining how I did things with my oldest versus my daughter, I think would be a good video to do. And then the other thing I want to do, this is for all my Catholic homeschoolers that watch, I really like to make a video about preparing our oldest for his sacraments this year, confession, communion. So, yeah, I'd like to do some sort of like resource or curriculum, things that we used, video on that, talk about how we taught things about the Mass, how we talked about the Eucharist and receiving communion, all those things, and also confession. And it'll probably just be one video, but I'll break it into like 3 sections of those, of Mass, the Eucharist, and confession. So that's kind of my plan. And we have used a lot of things and read a lot of things and done a lot of things. So I think that'd be fun to share as well. And then going into next year, of course, we'll have curriculum choices. I have exciting things planned, and looking forward to next year is like a light in our life right now. So, yes, I'll do curriculum choices. If I, have some huge book hauls or curriculum hauls, hopefully I will share those as well. So some of those things might end up being shorts, but hopefully I'll be able to make mostly sit-down videos for you guys like I've been doing. So I think that's about everything that I wanted to share in this video. I'm sorry it got a little long. It's been a while, so once the camera turns on, it's like it was hard to film and sit down because it's been a while, but it was also like word vomit. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope not to take so long in between upcoming videos, and now that I have shared all the things I want to make, you guys can hold me accountable. Where's this video? You said it was coming. Okay, so anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys all in the next video, hopefully real soon.